Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford flying solo. Let's have some fun today. Um, Raiders off season. Never ever a dull moment. At least this off season, we've got a lot of good shit to talk about, right? Number one overall pick, a metric shit ton of cap space, Tyler Linderbaum signing, a bunch of defensive signings. We'll talk about the guard that the 49ers guard that the Raiders just signed yesterday, I believe. But of course, there's always the wild drama as well. And Maxx Crosby certainly filled that out. Normally, it's like Raiders offseason is just the bad drama, whether it's Brown freezing his feet off or, wild shit that constantly happens, right? It's like it's just always there. Like the Raiders have met their 2026 drama quota, and it's barely halfway through March. So I'm this Maxx Crosby thing. I'm ready to close the chapter on it, but got to make sure I'm ready to close, turn the page, but I want to make sure the chapter's written correctly because this does have some ramifications moving forward. And the new precedent's been set for a little bit. There's a lot of shit that happened. But because there's so much good stuff to talk about, I don't feel like we need to drag this out. Right? Maxx Crosby, if you haven't seen it on the Rush podcast, addressed kind of everything that happened with the Ravens fiasco. If you haven't seen it, it's it might be worth 45 minutes of your time. If you don't have that time, thank God I'm here to help you out. So, two big takeaways, and just real quick rehash. We all know what happened. Maxx Crosby's supposed to go over to the Ravens for 2 firsts. He goes over there on Friday. After just a few days, it falls apart, and according to the Ravens, it's because of the knee surgery that he had 9 weeks ago. He was just in crutches 6 weeks ago. Max's surgeon says everything's great, everything's moving as it's supposed to. Ravens doctor, who's also Cowboys doctor, said nope, it's an issue, and that's the excuse that the GM of the Ravens, DeCosta, used to say we're backing out. Now they didn't do anything; they didn't break a rule, right? Let's get that clear. The Ravens didn't break an NFL rule to do this. They were well within their rights, and their doctors well within their rights to look at the MRI of Maxx Crosby's knee and say, we're not comfortable with this. We think he failed the physical. The trade is off. It could be slimy. It could be underhanded. It could be shady. It could be shitty. It could be full of deceit, which I think it is all of the above. But let's make it clear. It wasn't illegal. The NFL's not going to do shit. The NFL's not going to do shit about this. They don't care. They really don't care. They're more interested in making sure that, players aren't puffing marijuana and making sure that they can get more money out of CBS with the next deal. They're not going to give a shit about this. They don't care. So don't hope and pray that Roger Goodell will come flying in on a horse and a gallant stallion and, give the Raiders some of the Ravens, draft picks or something. They should. That's what should happen because the Ravens were very deceitful and shitty, but it's not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. So there's the two big things I think that need to be understood, and then we can close the door on this fiasco and move forward and enjoy this awesome, amazing Raiders offseason, all the great signings we're getting, having Maxx Crosby back, Fernando Mendoza coming to town, new system with Klint Kubiak, new defensive system with Rob Leonard. There's just so much awesome shit to get to. So let's set the record straight on Maxx Crosby and the Ravens, and then we'll move on. Two things I want you to walk away with in this scenario with the Ravens. There is no doubt and no question that the Ravens pulled a shitty move. There is no doubt and no question in my mind that the Ravens knew they weren't actually going to keep Maxx Crosby before he got to Baltimore. Maybe at some point they're like, okay, we're going to do this deal. We want to trade for Maxx. Here's the 2 first Raiders. We want this amazing, awesome Condor to be a Raven. At some point, before Maxx Crosby got to Baltimore, long before he got to Baltimore, it didn't happen when he was in the air. At some point before he got to Baltimore, the Ravens knew they were going to back out, and they're using the MRI as an excuse. Here's why I think that. Look at the timeline. Look at the timeline, right? Here's Maxx Crosby from the Rush podcast explaining the opening moments of when he was at the Ravens facility, who he saw, when he saw him, and what happened.
I went there did my thing, had my MRIs. Like, I was asking Joe, like, yo, like, could I, like, before I left, I wanted to see the head coach and just chop it up, talk football, talk ball. Like, he's a defensive guy, never met him before like that, so I wanted to chop it up. So I didn't get to meet with him till the end of the day. I didn't get to see the GM at all. I thought I was going to see him when I first got there. I didn't see him for 5 hours.
So he didn't come out the whole time you're testing or doing your physical. Everyone's talking about
Never.
The GM never came once out to see you.
And I don't know why. I'm not going to speculate. I didn't see him one time. I even asked the girl. I was like, "Where's Eric at?" Like, I want to say, like, you know what I mean? Like, he just made the trade. Like, I didn't see him for 5 hours. So I go and do my thing. At the end, they're like, "Yeah, I'll take you up." Joe was like, "I'll take you up and you go see the head coach, whatever, just before you leave." I was like, "Hell yeah!" I was like, "That's what I want to say what's up to him." So I went back up, and I dap him up, and you could just tell like the energy was a little bit off. And the GM was standing in like the hall, like in the room next to me to the right, and that was the first time I seen him. And I'm just in my head, like this is a whirlwind, like I'm so excited, like fired up. You know what I mean? Like this is a new opportunity, whatever. And you could just tell the energy was off. Like I dapped him up. He had like a blank face.
So LaShawn McCoy talked about this on his show, and he made a great point. He's like, when I got traded to Buffalo, they flew me in a private jet to Buffalo. As I'm leaving the plane, the head coach is there, the GM is there, the PR girl is there, the attorneys are there, the head coach's son is there. It's like, this is a big deal. Like, we're trading for a superstar. Maxx Crosby, this was the biggest trade of the offseason. A giant superstar. And it's like, one, they flew him commercial and then had to drop him off in DC and then drive up to Baltimore, which was kind of weird, right? I mean, for those of you people think like, oh, that hoity-toity, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, these guys, Maxx Crosby's worth like $200 million, all right? The guy doesn't fly public. And so LaShawn McCoy's like, what the hell? It's like, there should be a ticker tape parade. There should be like a high school band. Like, this is a big deal. This should be treated like a soldier coming back from war. This should be a really, really big deal. None of that for Maxx. It's like, oh, here's your driver. Enjoy your 2-hour drive in traffic going up the Eastern Seaboard. So that immediately shows what's going on. And then Maxx addressed that when he saw him. He didn't meet the GM until 5 hours after, and he had to go seek out the GM. He meets Jesse Minter, the head coach, and it's kind of like a weird dap, and it's just kind of a blank face, no excitement, no jubilation, no like, oh my God, we got Maxx fucking Crosby on the Ravens, on a pretty good team with Super Bowl aspirations. Pro Bowl quarterback, some talent on defense, bam. He's the missing piece to a Super Bowl run. And everyone's just kind of like treating it like the mailman's dropping off coupons. DeCosta said, oh, man, the GM of the Raiders, or GM of the Ravens. Oh, man, I'm so bummed. We wanted him here. It just sucks that his knee isn't good enough to play here. And that's his excuse. The Ravens completely told on themselves by at least not pretending like they wanted Maxx to be there. If you're going to bluff, if you're going to pull this move, and again, there is no honor among thieves. NFL free agency, GMs, the business side of it, it is cutthroat. It is last man standing. It is do whatever you possibly can get away with to get the best out of your franchise, to get the best players, to pay as little as possible, stay under the cap, get the best coaches and front office people. Like, it is a cutthroat business. And the Ravens, like I said, didn't break any rules. They didn't break any laws. This isn't anything that's going to put anyone in jail or end with any consequences tangibly. But if you're going to pull a shady move, if you're going to bluff, at least put your chips in the table. At least pretend like what you're doing is legit. The Ravens, at some point before Maxx Crosby got there, knew that they would be able to get Trey Hendrickson and said, okay, if we can get Trey, a guy who's probably 80% as good as Maxx, and keep our 2 first, we're going to do that instead. Right? If the Ravens were going to pull this shady cutthroat move, they should have went all in. They should have at least acted like they were down to do it. So then when DeCosta says, oh, it's the MRI, we'd probably still be able to see through his bullshit but at least they planted the seeds of deception correctly. Instead, they just showed up and like raw dogged a terrible situation because they didn't even pretend like they wanted Maxx there. They didn't have anyone introduce themselves. The GM and head coach didn't see him for 5 hours. It was like nothing. You can't even pretend like your ruse is legit. So that's how I knew whatever tiny smidge of credibility the Ravens had, it's gone. Now, I would love to come out here and say this is irreparable damage to the Ravens' reputation. No one's going to deal with them. This is like, that's not going to happen, right? There's not a single other of the 31 GMs. Maybe Spytech might be a little apprehensive, but of the other 30 teams in the NFL, there's not a single GM that's going to say, okay, the Ravens offered us the best deal for a player, so we're going to say, but we're going to say no because it's the Ravens. It's not going to happen. There's not a single agent who represents a player, and the best deal that's available is a contract from the Ravens, and the agent's going to say, no, I don't trust the Ravens. We're not going to do that. That's not going to happen. I would love to say it would happen. If there was righteousness in the world, that would happen. But this is how high-level negotiations and high-level big money elements happen, right? It's just all about leverage. There's no honor amongst thieves. If it's close, right? Like if you have like an equal, like the Ravens and Chiefs are offering like something similar, you might look at the Ravens and say, I don't trust them. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. But that's it, man. The Ravens are going to keep doing what they're doing. That's not going to stop us from looking through their bullshit and knowing that it was a complete farce in everything that they did. We all know that because they couldn't even pretend to fake it. The other part, so that's the big part of this. Let's close the door on that chapter. The Ravens pulled the fast one. They look like idiots. Looks like a schmuck. Time to move on. The other part of this that I want to get to is where do we go from here? Because Maxx Crosby's back and he's staying. I'm telling you, he's staying. Here's Maxx from the Rush podcast.
All this shit unravels on Tuesday, and then all of a sudden I'm back flying back the next day. Never would have thought in a million years. So it was crazy, bro. It was like so much going on. I get back to Vegas like 12:30, like little after midnight in Vegas, and I freaking drive home as late as hell. I got right up 4:55 the next morning, got my ass in the building, right back to work. And it was crazy, bro. Maybe like 4 hours of sleep. And I walk back and they're like the fucking Undertaker. And I see everybody again. And everyone's like, you know what I mean? Like people expect you to be like, oh, is he going to be, is it weird? Is it nerd? I'm like, bro, you know how my mind works. Like everything happens for a reason, truly. And you can't control that. You could have never predicted that. I couldn't have predicted. Nobody on earth could have predicted that. I didn't know what to say, but I'm like, I'm not letting nobody knock my shine or make me feel weird or anything. I'm like, bro, shit happens for a reason. I know exactly who I am. I'm healthy. I'm fucking crushing my rehab. I'm doing what I'm doing. I wasn't supposed to be in Baltimore. And that's it. You know what I mean? I'm meant to be a Raider. It's through my damn core.
I wasn't meant to be a Raven. I was meant to be a Raider. It's to my damn core. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, right? I can keep throwing slogans at you. It's the devil you know over the devil you don't, right? There's a lot of ways you can go with it. And I've said it multiple times. If there's one carbon-based life form on planet Earth that has the most right to complain with how bad the Raiders have been, it's Maxx Crosby. Because he's been the best player and the hardest worker on, let's be honest, a bottom 5 franchise since he's been here. He's been through 5 head coaches, a bunch of defensive schemes, a defense completely devoid of talent. He's the only guy that an offensive coordinator even has to kind of worry about. Like, he has a right to say, what the fuck, guys? Let's get better. He has that right to say that. This is going to go down as a turning point for Maxx Crosby. Watch. Mark my words. Because this humbled him a little bit. As much as a absolute alpha, best defensive player in football, $200 million net worth guy can be humbled, I think this did a little bit. So when I first started working, the first office job I ever had, I did a bunch of odd jobs as a kid, but the first office job I ever had was at Tap Out Magazine when I started writing for MMA. And I was like, dude, I don't like this guy's getting special treatment. This part isn't fair. I don't think this is ran efficiently. I'm like, man, this company is just a mess. Nothing works here. This is awful. And then I go to another company. I'm like, man, I don't like how this is working. I don't like this type of nepotism. I don't know why this guy's in charge. And then I go to another company. Every single company I've worked for, to varying degrees, has been screwed up. And sometimes when you're just in one NFL franchise as a player, you're like, well, all the warts, all the problems here, I don't like it. Obviously, somewhere else it's going to be better. Now, the Raiders have obviously been a problem as a franchise for a long time. We can just look at all the issues that they've had, but they're not the only team with problems. And I think when Maxx Crosby got to finally realize a little tiny taste of another NFL team, he kind of appreciated what he had. It's like, all right, yeah, the Ravens have been winning more, and maybe there's some better players, but we got world-class facilities at the Raiders. Mark Davis absolutely loves Maxx Crosby. They have a fantastic relationship. Mark would never pull something like this on Max the human or the player. I mean, finally, Maxx Crosby's like, okay, now I kind of got to see how the sausage is made in Baltimore. It's not so bad at the Raiders. Maybe it's not so bad here. And so Maxx Crosby on 4 hours of sleep, up at 4:55 a.m., back at the facility at 6 a.m., ready to go. The players are happy he's back. Fans are happy he's back. He got a little taste of dysfunction somewhere else. So now he's ready to work, and he's not getting traded. The draft value for him at this stage in free agency, there's not a lot out there. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, which is great. And I know you guys are going to miss, the first round picks. I would too. But you got to understand, I've talked about this multiple times, but it bears repeating. It's like going to church. You're not going to learn anything new, but you sometimes need to be reminded it. Players just generally don't do better on the Raiders recently, right? It's just the case. As a Raider fan, it hurts me to say it, but it's true. Maxx Crosby is the exception to that rule. It's Maxx Crosby, Hunter Renfrow, Colton Miller. Like there's Josh Jacobs. Like there's guys that have been able to flourish with the Raiders despite all the turnover, all the bad drafts, all the bad free agency moves, all that stuff. They still managed to flourish. You hold on to those guys. You white knuckle death grip them by the wrist and say, you're not going anywhere. Because it is so hard for individual players to flourish with the Raiders. Just, historically, I'm confident and it looks optimistic that things are going to start changing. But I'm saying, Maxx Crosby is worth more to the Raiders than somewhere else. If we were the Chiefs or we were the Rams or if we were the Eagles, maybe those 2 first-round picks would be more valuable than a really good player because there's a good chance those 2 first-round picks would be 2 good players. And again, 2 good players on rookie deals for the next 4 to 5 years, depending on who they draft. So, but that's not been the case with the Raiders. So if you're good on the Raiders, you need to stay on the Raiders. And I'm really, really happy that Max is sticking around. And I'm really, really excited about his potential new outlook on everything. Rejuvenated, ready to go. Let's take a couple questions. 2026 drama is done, right? LOL from Jason Marshall, 2063. Not by a long shot, man. Not by a long shot. The draft is still a month away. Free agency still hasn't finished. Training camp's going to happen. And then you've just got so many. And obviously with Tom Brady, the guy can't take a fart without it being front page news everywhere. Anything, the Tom Brady stuff, that's not going away. Is he supposed to be a coach? Should he be allowed to do this? Is he not allowed to do this? That's not going anywhere. That's still going to be a thing. Drama's not over. Not at all. Ricardo ran circa 971. No Soto again. What the flock is really going on? Is he in prison? I don't think he's in prison. You never know with that guy. So I'll address it now. Soto's got, he can talk about it if he wants to, but he's got a couple things in his personal life. He's fine. He's not hurt. He didn't do anything wrong, but he's got some things on his plate and doesn't have quite the same amount of time to commit to this channel. He has his own channel, Raiders versus the World. Definitely check it out. He does stuff every single day over there. But no, we're cool. We're fine. And yeah, I agree. I think the show's better when it's me and Soto. I think Rory's fantastic. He'll come on when he can. But yeah, he just has, life gets in the way of a lot of stuff. This has always been a passion project, right? Like, we make a couple bucks on this channel, but I mean, I make more doing my other job. Like the hour I spend doing this, I would make more doing my UFC MMA stuff. But I love the Raiders and I love doing the show. And I love doing it with Soto. And he's not gone. He'll still be able to do shows when he can, and he'll still be over here. And maybe I'll go do something on his channel. I don't know. But yeah, if you miss Soto, he'll be around. And if you want to, he does the video every single day on Raiders versus the World. Make sure you go check it out. He's cat sitting. He's always cat sitting. That never stops. I want to say, like, if he got one more cat, I don't think he'd ever be able to work again. That's just what he does. So one more thing on Maxx. I've seen a lot of people, like, when he got drafted or got presumably traded away, people are like, fuck him. I'm ready to move on. Screw this guy. Soto was like that, right? Like, don't ever break up with Soto because he will hold a grudge like a Brazilian woman, right? Don't ever break up with him because he'll get mad and he'll make it out for you to be the bad guy. My whole thing was like, the guy wants to do what's best for him. Like, it sucks, but I can't fault the guy, like, you got to look out for number one, and that's what he wants to do. I was more mad at the Raiders that we lost yet another future Hall of Famer, another great player. And just, I said, these nightmares in my mind of seeing, Brock Bowers in like a Jaguars jersey or something. Christ, like, that'd be awful. So definitely Maxx Crosby. He's not image conscious in the sense where he's like what he wears and stuff, but he's image conscious in that he knows he's a hard worker and he likes that reputation. Understandably so. If I was up at 4:55 a.m. every day and at my job at 6 a.m. every day, even in the off season, I'd want people to know that. I like people to know my value. This is how hard RJ works. That'd be nice. That'd be nice if the world knew it. So Maxx did a little bit of an image rehabilitation on the rush as well, which is fine, which is okay. I get it. He's letting us know what happens. I'm glad that it gets kind of annoying sometimes with players having their own podcasts and they're being like cryptic on social media and they're like 14-year-old girls all the time. But when things like this happen, it's great that he got like a long form situation, just like sit down and say like, this is my take on everything that happened. And here's exactly timeline wise what went down. Right. So if you're still mad at Maxx, get over it. Get over it. He's back. Like, you can not, you can say like, I'll never forget how he like said Flock Nation that one time. It's like, I can. I can. When it's the fourth quarter and he sets Patrick Mahomes back on 3rd and 13 and sacks him again. Yeah, I will very easily forget that he said Flock Nation. I will quickly forget that he said Flock Nation. Not an issue. Not an issue with me at all. I don't really care. I'm also kind of a sociopath. Like, I don't really care about the man. I care about the player. The name on the front's more important than the name on the back. So as long as he's producing, like, you can say whatever. I really don't care. So I do want to mention one more signing because I think it means I think there's significance to this and there's some storylines to this. Spencer Burford just signed guard from the 49ers, 24 years old. Kind of like a prove it 1-year deal. I'm sure it'll be very low cost. He was a 2022 4th round pick. He started 16 games as a rookie and then lost his starting job due to some inconsistencies. So there's a couple things about this signing that tell me a few things. And there's a few things about this signing that I think you should know. One, if he finds success in Las Vegas, this is a fantastic sign that Klint Kubiak, this offensive system, the O-line system, the front office, how things are ran, are doing better. Like I mentioned, players don't, when they come to the Raiders, they usually don't play better here. Geno Smith was a pretty good quarterback, came to the Raiders, and now he's not. Gardner Minshew was a playoff caliber quarterback, came to the Raiders, and then he wasn't. Chandler Jones was a Pro Bowl level player, came to the Raiders and lost his goddamn mind. Antonio Brown, I don't even need to remind you about that. Players usually don't flourish more with the Raiders than other places. So now we have a litmus test. Now we have, what's it called when you do an experiment and you have the ones that don't do anything and one you do the experiment to? Control group. We have a control group now. Burford. if he can succeed here better than he did at the 49ers, that's a fantastic sign because the 49ers are a well-run organization, right? Great offense. Their O-linemen do well in that scheme. You know, a lot of people find a lot of success with the 49ers. If he can succeed with the Raiders, this is a fantastic sign that there's stuff going on that is net positive. That we're getting more out of players than what's in there. And that's really for a coach, that's literally your job, right? We can talk about schemes and motivation and good practices and running good meetings and like all that kind of shit. Really, all your job is as a coach is to get the most out of a player. That's it. That's really your only job. The GM's job is to get as many good players as possible. And the the coach's job is to get the players you have, make them as good as possible. Now we have a litmus test because he's a nice fit, right? A little undersized, but kind of similar to the 49ers. He can pull, he can move. He's got, the mobility is a big part, which the stretch zone, wide zone schemes that we're doing. He's an awesome fit. Also, he's young, like I mentioned, 25 years old. Because we're 24 years old, because we're building for the future, right? Like we're not trying to win now, right? We're still a developmental team, building team. He does kind of have a problem with like really powerful rushers. He's not really like a power guy. But again, so the number 2 reason I like this signing is it's filling up the gaps that aren't quite as obvious. So why is consistency with the franchise so important? Regular, same GM, same head coach, same scheme. Because with your later round picks, you now find guys that aren't perfect fits everywhere, right? Like the first rounders, if you're a first round draft pick, you should be a starter day 1 Pro Bowler at some point, right? Like that's the caliber of athlete. That's how much they used on you. Second round draft pick should be a starter. Third round should contribute. Fourth and below, these are developmental guys. And because the Raiders have been so bad drafting, and not just bad drafters, but also not drafting for the same thing, you haven't been building the depth that you need. Buford is a depth piece. Super cheap, may or may not start at right guard. Probably, I would say he's probably the leader in the clubhouse to start at right guard, but definitely not guaranteed. But he is now those cheap depth pieces that the Raiders desperately need because they haven't been drafting them. That's what he signifies. So this is a smart signing. Super low risk, potential upside, feels maybe a starter role. At worst, he's like a swing interior lineman. He's young, but he's been in the league for 4 seasons, something like that. So he's, knows the game, helps like the second-year players, first-year players, stuff like that. This is big. And also, this is a system signing, not a talent signing. It's definitely there's not a lot of gray area or guessing on what the kind of offense Klint Kubiak's going to use, but he fits that perfectly. Tells you what Klint Kubiak wants. It's more of a floor raiser than a ceiling raiser, right? Tyler Linderbaum was a ceiling raiser. That was, we're going all in. We're going to overpay for this amazing player who's going to be the anchor of this offensive line. He's going to be the quarterback of the O-line. So Fernando Mendoza can take something off of his plate as he's a rookie while he's working on everything else. He fits the scheme perfectly. Fucking wrestler. You know how much I love wrestlers on the O-line. They're the hardest workers. He'll be 30 yards down the field, being the first person to shake Ashton Janty's hand after a big run. Mark my words. He's going to beat Dante Thornton down there to like pick up his running back and say, good job, after he just Linderbaum on everybody. Side note, I am so excited to scream Linderbaum every time he lays somebody out. Like my wife is going to be so sick of it. I'm going to teach my daughter every time our center cracks somebody, we're going to scream Linderbaum, Linderbaum. We're going to make this count. We're going to make this a thing. And also this is how good offenses and good teams are built from the trenches. That's what Spytek's always done. That's what he said before. This is what you do. That's what good franchises do, and that's what Spytek has done. I think that's pretty much it. If you've got any questions, You missed it, bro. RJ said he's in Iran with the CIA killing terrorists. That's true. That's where Soto is. Rewind the video if you missed it. I completely detailed it. Actually, it's probably not wise of me to be doing an entire map of Iran and seeing what Soto is doing and with what weapons, but that's the insight you get on the auto Windbags that you don't get anywhere else. RJ is wearing his dad's hat. It's so big. So I really like this hat when I saw it, and they didn't have my size. So I'm like, okay, I can get it a 1/4 of an inch too big, and it'll be fine. That's all it takes. All it takes is a 1/4 of an inch. And it's huge. I look like a dirt biker from the 909. I just like the hat too much. I just gotta, even though it's too big, I still gotta wear it. Maybe I can start doing like a gangster look where I do like a bandana underneath it, you know? My pasty ass can pull that off. Kubiak is doing a great job so far. I mean, it certainly seems so. Like, what was one of the biggest problem? Arguably the biggest problem last season. Definitely one of the biggest. The GM and the head coach were on completely different pages. It was black and white. Which players the Raiders got that were a Kubiak guy and which guys were Pete Carroll guys. That shouldn't be that black and white. It shouldn't be that obvious. Geno Smith, clearly Pete Carroll. Tyler Lockett, clearly Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's son's coaching, duh. That was probably Mrs. Carroll, right? There's Pete Carroll's wife is just like, Pete, we got to get these deadbeats out of the house. They've been couch surfing, watching Netflix at our house for the last 2 years. Like, we got to get them some jobs. I'm joking. Obviously, they were coaching elsewhere, but like, you could tell, right? You could tell. The linemen, the guys that Pete Carroll wouldn't play, you can tell those were Spy Tech guys. Every signing we've done so far, it's both. There wasn't like, okay, that's, Tyler Linderbaum clearly wasn't a Klint Kubiak signing. It wasn't like clearly a John Spytek signing. He was both. In my opinion, the second most important position on the offense, the center, and you paid the most for the best guy who's a great fit. Arguably the most valuable free agent of any, arguably the best free agent of any position. And the Raiders got him. He's got the cap space, and it was a position that we needed. Young quarterback coming in, you got to give him some help. All these defensive players we're signing, the guard we just signed from the Niners, this is both guys. This is Klint Kubiak and John Spytek walking hand in hand. Seriously, like, that should be the logo for this offseason, is a big heart logo around Klint Kubiak and John Spytek walking along the beach holding hands, looking at each other adoringly. Because they both want the same thing, and they're both getting the same thing that they both want. That's awesome. That's what we're looking for. Spytek is cooking. We need to acknowledge it. Yes, Bivy. He really is. And he's in flux with the head coach. Right? They're on the same page. He was able to get something for Geno Smith, which was great. It's amazing. There's good times There's good times happening, right? All right. I am got to get out of here. I'm hopping on a plane to London. The UFC is in London this weekend, so I have a very long flight that I have to start getting drunk for so I can sleep during it. Good fight too. Evloya versus Murphy, 2 undefeated featherweights. The winner's probably going to get Alexander Volkanovski for the title. It's going to be awesome. Highly recommend you check it out. But yeah, so if you take anything away from this channel, it's like, look, let's close the book on the shitty Maxx Crosby Ravens trade. We have so much more fun stuff to look forward to, right? If this was a shitty offseason, if we weren't doing much, if we weren't signing people, we'd keep talking about it because it's just going to be on our minds. But man, there's a lot to look forward to, right? And there will be anything this big. There's always follow-up journalism, and there will be some more stories that kind of leak about this. And there'll be, people on the inside will leak something that they want out there, and there'll be some stuff talked about. So the story isn't over. I can predict that there's going to be more shit to talk about, but the crux of it is done. We have more exciting things to look forward to, more exciting things to worry about. As big as Spytek was for the first 24 hours of free agency, he's still cooking. Things are still going well. So Maxx is back, and he seems like a motivated, pissed off Maxx, who matured a little bit, humbled a tiny bit, and got to see that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. If Maxx retires, spends his entire career as a Raider and retires as a Raider, God willing, knock on wood, pray to whatever God you want, that's what happens. This will be something that I think he'll look back and say, I grew up a little bit that day. I learned a little bit from that weekend, and it made me a better player. I really think so. All right. That's it for me. Yeah, man. Happy days ahead for Raider Nation. Even if the hats are too big. Maybe I just got to get really, really cocky so my head grows so my hats will fit. You think I can get like a really big ego where I got to like butter up my head to get through the door? Maybe that's what I need to do. We'll figure it out. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.